Hello, welcome back to 100 years of Nazdar history. I ended the last video in 1989 when I mentioned the expansion of the Nazdar distribution system, company and industry-wide training, and multicolor printing machines with UV inks. By 1990, graphic and textile screen printing had become an established printing industry with a separate identity from the other printing processes. Very few printing companies did screen printing and other print processes. And few did both graphic and textile printing. We had our own trade shows and industry publications. For Nazdar, the 1990s were really divided into the time before and after 1995. The 90s really got off to a big start when Mike Fox was named president of Nazdar KC in 1991, and Jeff Thrall continued as chairman and CEO. You will see John Morgan is also mentioned in the same press release with Mike and Jeff as the sales manager of Nazdar, Michigan. Two other Thrall family members, Randy and Jay, who joined Nazdar in the 80s in sales and operations respectively, were also working to build a bigger and better Nazdar. Some other key appointments at this time are the opening of a St. Louis branch managed by Bob Hernandez, the Nazdar Atlanta facility in Norcross, Georgia, which was opened in 1985 to manufacture poster inks, was initially managed by Jack Brewster, who became senior vice president in 1991 when Gary Voles was named branch manager. In the history video that covered the 1970s, I mentioned how environmental laws in California would later influence Nazdar KC inks. Company advertising in the early 1990s was focused on exactly that, environmentally friendly inks. Nazdar KC introduced the Aquaprint water-based textile ink and the 8500 series textile inks. These water-based products were the wave of the future. The AquaSafe 2500 water-based graphic ink for paper, and then the 2700 series, an all-purpose graphic water-based ink that was designed to print on paper and some plastics. The 59,000 series enamels were made lead-free, and the 3700 series UV inks were made V-Pyral-free. All of this was part of the environmental movement and ink chemistry. In 1993, Nazdar acquired Advanced Process Supplies Inks and Coating Division that was headquartered in Chicago. This resulted in an expanded product line and customer base. The advanced locations were moved into Nazdar facilities, and some new warehouse locations were added. This brought a lot of new employees to Nazdar, and many are still with the company today. During this same time period, before 1995, Nazdar entered into agreements to distribute printing equipment from TAS America, Hopkins International, CIOS America, Hicks Corporation, Cincinnati Printing and Drying, and American Ultraviolet. This greatly expanded the equipment Nazdar sold to printers. Nazdar KC ended the year in 1993 with this season's greetings ad with employees in the ad. In 1994, the new 3600 series UV decal ink was introduced, which is still being sold today. In June of '94, a press release announced the changing the name of the company to just Nazdar and the elimination of the hyphen in the word Nazdar. They dropped KC and added a tagline, "A Vision for Tomorrow." Precision Screen Machines introduced the processor in 1989, which is not the first sheath-fed multicolor graphic screen press, but possibly the most impactful. Precision was then purchased by M&R in 1994, which is the start of the adoption of multiple color inline screen printing machines in North America. The high-performance, fast-curing 3200 series inks were promoted at the SPAI 1994 trade show with the iconic print of a high-performance Corvette that was printed live on a Cios multi-formula inline press. This image was used in advertising like this one for the next few years. Some of the other key industry developments in the early 1990s included Gerber Scientific introducing the Gerber Edge thermal transfer decal system. Scanvec Marketing and Linographic both introduced ScreenMate design software for creating film positives digitally. And Adobe introduces Photoshop 1.0, which was released in 1990. This is the beginning of computer-generated desktop color separations. The screen mesh manufacturers had all released high-tension, low-elongation mesh by 1989, and in 1994, the Screen Printing Technical Foundation released a comprehensive report on rapid tensioning, which refuted the long-held belief that a stable screen took hours or even days to achieve. This is another step to improving print quality and efficiency. In the summer of 1995, Nazdar moves into a new 117,000 square foot facility in Shawnee, Kansas. This becomes the corporate headquarters, center for R&D, and largest manufacturing location for Nazdar inks. Randy Thrall, Dave Russell, Jeff Vickers, Terry Barnett, and Dan Jensen head up the committee, along with many others, to find a site and work with architects to lay out the building. This photo shows Jerry Thrall, Mike Fox, and Randy Thrall at the groundbreaking ceremony. This Sun newspaper article reports that the new Nazdar building will employ 120 people, and a new roadway building will employ more than 900 people, creating over 1,000 jobs in the K7 corridor. The Nazdar building was the first and only building in the Perimeter Park industrial development at the time. This is a time of innovation at Nazdar and in the screen printing industry. In the next 5 years, Nazdar introduces many new products, starting with the ImageStar line of screen-making chemicals. High-performance UV graphic inks are the primary focus of development, with the following inks being released in the last half of the 90s. The 3300 series UV inks are low-odor inks designed for printing on paper. In 1996, the 3500 series UV decal ink is introduced to complement the 3600 to meet all decal applications. 2 years later, Nazdar partners with Avery Dennison to create a warranty program for fleet graphics. The 3500 series UV inks were the largest selling UV screen ink last year, 26 years after their introduction. The 3900 series was introduced as the most flexible UV decal ink on the market. It was designed to print up to 13 layers and remain flexible, which was amazing then and still is today. And finally, the 3800 series ink for poly banners, which was a very popular banner material at this time. The ad with the girl on the motorcycle was the lead up to the SPAI trade show promotion, where Nazdar raffled off a 1999 Harley-Davidson Sportster at the 1998 SPAI show in Kansas City, highlighted in this press release after the show. Nazdar celebrated its 75th anniversary a year late to take advantage of the SPAI show being in Kansas City, with a party in the River Market area, along with tours of the new building in Shawnee, Kansas. That same year, Nazdar is rated the 6th largest ink manufacturer in the USA by American Ink Maker magazine, with $85 million in sales. In 1997, the Mid-America branch in St. Louis is opened, and distribution is expanded into Florida with the acquisition of Photochemical Supply. The following year, there are several mergers and acquisitions. NDS in Indianapolis and Nashville merged with Nazdar and are managed by Bobby Bodkin. Nazdar acquired the Joseph Podger Company with locations in Pennsauken, New Jersey, and Greensboro, North Carolina. Thrall Enterprises purchased Canadian ink manufacturer Ink Design and changed the company name to Nazdar Canada. You may think this is enough innovation for one decade, but it was not. This is the start of the digital printing revolution for wide format graphics, and Nazdar is at the forefront. Back at the start of the decade, 3M launched the Scotch Print electronic graphic system at the 1990 SPAI show. This is possibly the first large format digital imaging system. By 1996, computer to screen technology is introduced at FESPA 5 years after being initially introduced by Gerber with their ScreenJet system. This allows inline screen printers to upgrade their prepress systems to be competitive with the computer to plate systems being used by offset lithographers. In 1997, Nazdar launched the Source One Digital Systems division and named Jim Shaw business manager. This division is the exclusive distributor of the Matan Sprinter and Grandjet wide format digital thermal transfer printers. The following year, Nazdar introduced the Sublajet inkjet inks for use in the NCAD NovaJet Pro and Pro E inkjet printers, and offers more digital equipment with Autotype's Aspect imaging system, NCAD printers, Edenit printers, and raster graphics equipment along with media, inks, and supplies. In 1999, Source One Digital Systems changed its name to Nazdar Digital. That same year, the marketing department ran this advertisement to announce a contest for printers to send in their best printed work with Nazdar inks. This contest generated print samples that were used in future Nazdar advertisements and trade shows for years to come. And in the last month of the decade, Nazdar runs this ad to announce the distribution division of Nazdar, Source One. One call, one team, one shipment, one great source to make your life easier. A decade doesn't end much better than that. Join me next month to see what happens in the next century. Until then, Nazdrovia.